Okay, Section 9. These are powers forbidden Congress, okay? So, Section 9.1, page 17. The existing states may allow any people they wish to be admitted or imported. Take them or bring them in or send them out. Congress may not prohibit this because of the year 1808, but may impose a tax of up to $10 per person. This clause was changed by law on January 1st, 1808. So go to page 34. 34 will tell you what happened there. Yeah, do a little 34 in the back. Number 34. Have you got it there?
It's on page 67, 34. This was an oblique reference to the slave trade, which was protected by this compromise for about 20 years. At the first constitutionally permitted opportunity, a federal law banning all future slave trade was passed by Congress and signed by President Thomas Jefferson. It became effective on January the 1st, 1808. Slavery itself was abolished by the 13th Amendment in 1865. The whole clause may be obsolete, but was retained here because it was changed by law, not repealed or replaced by an amendment. Some state authority regarding immigration in general may remain.
Okay, very good. See the key, how neat that is? Go back in the back, and there's that little explanation of it. And the only book Rick Green uses to teach by is this book right here. That's the only one he uses. Okay, number 2. The right of any arrested person to be seen by an impartial judge may not be suspended. There may be exceptions only during a rebellion or invasion if the public safety requires it. So the right of any person, the right of any arrested person to be seen by an impartial judge. That's 35. You already got 35 over there? Oh, she's been really good at it, so I was going back there.
35 on page 67. This right to be seen by a judge to determine whether a person is being properly held is called a writ of habeas corpus.
Okay. And I used to hear habeas corpus, no body, no case. But that was, you used to hear that a lot. Remember the old movies? At least that's just, but that's good. Okay, so they may not be suspended. There may be exceptions only during a rebellion or invasion if the public safety requires it. 3, no law may be passed which pronounces a person guilty of a crime or which is retroactive. We're going to do 36 and 37 while you got it there, okay?
36. This kind of law was called a bill of attainder. It was an act of a legislature that found a person guilty, usually of treason. These bills have a very complex history, including putting people to death and then confiscating their property. Under the Constitution, Congress set the penalty for treason, parenthesis C, colon, 3.3.2, parenthesis close. But guilt is determined by courts. 37. These kinds of laws were called ex post facto laws. That is the term used in the original. It means after the fact. So Congress may not decide that something should have been a crime, and make a law that goes backwards in time to punish the person or persons who did it.
Okay, I can go along with that. Can't you? Okay, 4. No direct taxes may be assessed unless they are in proportion to the census. There is an exception for income tax. So go ahead with 38 while we got there. Let's talk about income tax for a second. You're doing good. Keep on going.
38. The constitutional standard for direct taxes is that they may be apportioned, meaning shared in proportion to each state's population. The income tax, parenthesis, allowed by the 16th Amendment in 1913, parenthesis close, became the exception to that rule. See Amendment 16 and end note.
Okay. Now you take all those and put them together, and you got 194 to be the corrected, and put into English where we can understand it. So So no direct taxes may be assessed unless they are proportioned to the census. And how's our state representative, our U.S. House of Representatives, how are they determined? Direct proportion to the census. So I think there was roughly 650,000, and the last time, this 10 year after we've got the new census, I believe they raised it to 725 or 750,000 now. So what I have to get is enough votes out of 750,000 people to win the election to go to Congress. Really simple, isn't it? Now listen to this. This is going to shock you. Did you know that Ralph Hall won this election with less than 50,000 votes? And did you know there were around 466,000 registered voters in this big old district we have? And only less than 60,000 of them were voting, or in that range. And so the last time I ran, there were 400,000 votes floating around the country. I went after those votes. I didn't get them, but God knows the reason why, and I don't know why, but there was enough votes out there to be gotten to win an election. And so, but it just didn't happen. So God's in control, and I accept His will and what He does. So anyway, now, okay, so it's all in proportion to where they are. So that comes down to general tax. Grab your microphone, CC.
I just want to make one notation here. The Federal Reserve Bank was created in 1913, and this exception is also, it says there is an exception for income tax that also was put in place in 1913. The IRS is put in place to collect the debt for the bank.
Interesting. What do y'all think about IRS? Oh, thumbs down. Does everybody agree with that? Thumbs down on IRS? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Unconstitutional.
Yeah, it is. I think it is too. There's some legal things goes into it. Let's don't get into that right now, but do some study on that. CC, you know where I'm coming from. You start checking that out a little bit, and there's some things in there that that's not quite up to par. And okay, so we were talking about income tax, but now we're going next. No tax may be assessed on goods exported from any state. No tax may be assessed on goods exported from any state. If we send a product to Oklahoma, it's not supposed to be taxed, right? If I buy a car in Texas and I tag it here and I drive it to Oklahoma and I move up there, what happens? I have to retag it, don't I? Is that unconstitutional? I think it is. I think it's abuse of our tax system. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And anything else? There's some other things too. I don't know about horses.
Hey, Doctor, we moved back from New Mexico. I went up there to re-register my truck in Greenville in Hunt County, and they charged me something like $55 or more for a re-entry fee.
Re-entry. Oh. I tell you, it's terrible. It's terrible. We are overtaxed. I had a letter here I was going to read, but I can't find it. But there was a letter to read that's talking about the overtaxed people in the United States. And I'm going to tell you what, we are overtaxed. Okay, no, point 6. No preference may be given to the ports of one state over those of another by regulating the trade or taxes. So the government is supposed to see that that's done evenly. I doubt it, though, but I would hope they would. Ships bound to or from one state may not be required to enter, stop, or pay taxes in another. And that's point 7. No money may be taken out of the treasury except the amounts that have been allocated by law. A financial statement showing where the money came from and how it was spent must be available to the public on a regular basis. And recently, our government lost how many billion? No, it was how many billion did they lose? 4 or 9 billion they couldn't account for?
Yeah.
Our government, was it $9 billion? Do y'all remember it was a bunch? Pardon? Yeah, they can't account for it. Obama can't account for it. Obama don't want a budget. Did you know why, don't you? Because he'd have to be accountable for what he's done. So without a budget, he does good. He just spends money like crazy, you know, like we've seen happen recently. But it must be made available to the public on a regular basis. If this Constitution is being lived up to, they must show where the money is going, and it has to be open to the public on a regular basis. I know it. Obama didn't want one, did he? Well, he didn't want to keep up with all the money he spent, did he? Maybe he didn't want us to know where that it went to, how he spent it. Okay, point 8. No title of nobility may be granted by the United States. Look at 39 there, if you will, please, young lady, and read that to us. Nobility, what are we talking about? Kings and queens, stuff like that? Bizarre, yeah, tell me about it. Tell me, yeah, I think you got a point there.
39. Many other countries at the time, including England, had classes of people. There were nobles of various ranks, such as Duke, Marquis, Earl, Viscount, and Baron. These people were regarded as having a higher rank in society than the rest, called commoners.
Okay, so that's what it's all about, big king and queens. We had enough of King George, and y'all remember now, okay, when King George, okay, the Boston Tea Party, y'all know what happened? Do you remember what happened after that? The Tea Party was fun, and we got a Tea Party today, but King George shut down Massachusetts, closed off the borders, people were starving, they didn't have food, and the rest of the colonies were afraid that King George was going to do the same to them. And so they don't want no more kings. However, they almost would have made George Washington almost a king if he wanted to be, but I'm glad he didn't do it, aren't you? Because he had enough sense to realize that we didn't need a king. Okay, no person who holds any official position under them may accept any gift, money, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state without the consent of Congress. So if they're going to give something, Congress has got to give the approval of it. So anybody that's taking any money, any of those things from foreign countries without the consent of Congress is in violation of the Constitution. And of course, if they're not using this Constitution, what do they care anyway? But we want to use this Constitution, and we care. Okay? Okay, Section 10. Okay, the Bill of Attainder, I had to note here, says a law passed by Parliament that a particular person loses his property or rights because of crimes, proven or not, he has committed. And a lot of these other things are been defined for us. Okay, let me get over here to 10. Let's see, general welfare. Here's the definition of general welfare. It was intended that the actions of the general government would benefit all the people of all the states. So it's beneficial to all the people of all the states. Uniform, indirect taxes, duties, imposts, excises were the uniform throughout the United States because no one wanted Congress to tax in any way, just any way they choose to do it. And I'm almost thinking now they tax like they want to, don't you? Yeah. Okay, Congress may have the power to make any law necessary. Here's the definition. To carry out its duties. In 1791, Jefferson wrote to President Washington that a bill authorizing a bank of the United States was unconstitutional because the power was not specifically allowed. Alexander Hamilton argued that it promoted the power of Congress to coin money and regulate the value thereof. Jefferson countered that a bank of the United States may be convenient for the coining of money, but was not necessary. Washington was swayed by Hamilton and signed the bill. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? I would say we'd name all the powers that Congress has, but I can't remember all of them. I'd have to look at my notes, would you? But there's a bunch of them in there, but that's all they have. That's all the power they have.
Are they using regulations now to circumvent them making, quote, laws?
I think they're using presidential executive orders.
Okay.
He writes a presidential executive order, and it's carried out. That's how he got all of his czars, isn't it? Did he execute a presidential order?
Yep, look how many regulations they're giving out and everything else. They're closing the coal mine next door because of a regulation. Uh-huh, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, these are all closing. It's in the newspaper. Y'all saw that, didn't you? This are out here in Monticello, 3 or 4 or 5 of them are being closed with the first of this year. EPA regulations. What do y'all think about EPA, all of you? Does anyone? Yeah, okay, thumbs down, yeah.